welcome to this absolutely wonderful live production, which is a collaboration between DW News
and Joy News. My name is Loisha Lademi
and I'm Edith Kimani. We're here to speak about a very local issue that's been affecting Ghana together with Joy News.
Yes, thank you, Edith. This year, a lot of Ghanaians have come together to fight against illegal mining because it's destroying our water bodies. You can see even our land has to suffer because of illegal mining. It's sad because most of the youth who are, doing or using this medium to get their source of income do not have any jobs to do or any sustainable jobs. So they end up doing this. You can see that the water, the chemicals, because it is heavily infused with mercury, arsenide, and all of these things, and they are in our water body. Now it's even getting close to the seas. So when you get to the seaside, you can see that sometimes they look very, very dirty. Now these young ones or infants swim in this heavily infused water. Fishermen are also in there. They end up going into to fish, and they don't even get any fishes because the fishes are dying, they are discoloring, and it's all due to the heavy metals in this water. So, Edith will be talking about this when she comes to the street debates, and she's ready for you. So Edith, take it away.
Indeed, and welcome to this absolutely special version of the 77% street debate. And if the analysts are to be believed, then in just 6 short years, then this country, which is so rich in biodiversity, could be importing water. And this is due to a phenomena called galamsey, known here dialectically. We'll be finding out what that is and how it's come to this situation and what exactly Ghanaians can do to preserve their future. And so I'd like to begin with you, Awolo. What exactly is galamsey and what does it have to do with the environment?
Well, galamsey, we are using it to say illegal mining. But if you look at the genesis of the word, when we had galamsey in the beginning, it wasn't using heavy machinery. It was called come and gather. So maybe the miners have mined, and what's left over, they'll come with hand tools and come and gather and sell. So that was galamsey. So using the word galamsey to describe what is happening now, which is on a great scale, on an unprecedented scale, destroying our landscape, poisoning our water bodies. And Ghana water does not remove the mercury from the water. So right now when we're drinking water, we could be drinking water with mercury.
But what's the situation presently? What's the state of your water bodies?
The state is terrible. I mean, you can see from the images what is going on. So many of our waters have already been contaminated. What is going on is wickedness, it's environmental terrorism, and can be stopped yesterday if the political will is there.
Let me speak to James here, who's a miner, because as we were speaking earlier, you were telling me you practice clean mining. What is that?
There are so many forms of mining. Small-scale mining, it's what we call plant mining. You create the dam by yourself, and then you use the dam, and then the water will go, we'd call it return. It will go turn and come inside the dam again for you to use it to do your washing. But there are some other aspect of it that is making it so difficult for all of us to work. Me, myself, I'm a victim of that situation. There are people we call chamfine, and now the galamsey is also taking part of the water. They dig their hole, and then they come and wash on top of the water bodies because they don't have the capacity to do their dams.
So can you explain to me, because obviously I don't have knowledge in mining, and I'm thinking that Ghana has been mining gold for centuries. So why is it a problem now?
Currently, gold is very, very expensive. Now, if you are talking about 1 carat and you are selling it about 260 or 70 cedis. So you can see any GSS person can enter into your site and then come with probably a machine or something. As soon as he gets like 1 carat, do you think he will go to class tomorrow? He is not coming. Yeah. You understand? So that is a very, very big disadvantage to even us, the miners.
I want to come to you, Peter, because I really just want to understand what is motivating people to go to the mines, risk their lives, and pollute the environment.
When people are desperate and they want food on the table, they don't care what they will do to get food on the table. And so this is purely as a result of poverty, as a result of economic hardship, where people think that getting something to eat today is what is all.
But isn't that the reality, though?
That's the reality. But what we don't understand, or people don't understand, is that when you destroy the environment and you get the money, you go out there to buy water that is, affected with this mercury that we're talking about. You drink it and you get sick. What happened? You go to the hospital. You don't get the strength to go back and do it again. So it is very serious, and we think it's far away from us. But everybody is at risk with this phenomenon, with this catastrophe that we're talking about. Because the moment you step out there, the restaurant, wherever you get food to buy, wherever you get water to buy. Who knows the source? Who cares?
But this is now a trickle-down effect. But Dr. Obin, because you used to be the CEO of the Miners Commission here, there must be policies against this. As I mentioned, Ghana has been mining gold for centuries.
If you don't have the right to mine as given by government, and you are operating at the blind side of the law, then you are illegal mining. However, if you have a license and you are not operating on your land, you're also illegal. The small-scale miners are generally being monitored for their operations, and whenever government wants to talk to them, they are able to get them around to talk to. But those who don't have those certification or registration, they are government is unable to.
Because I've already seen Ms. Awulu here shaking her head. Let me come back to James. Is what he's saying correct? Does government come and talk to you and engage you at that level?
Yes. In our site, we are directly under supervision of Extra Gold. Okay, so if anything go contrary to the rules, you will be stopped and you'll be fined. And probably your license will be taken from you. Yeah. And secondly, Extra Gold will not allow you, from our side, will not allow you to put mercury in any water, because the dam is created by you, so you can put mercury. You can't do that. You can only do that when you get to their office.
Okay, let me come back to you, Ms. Awulu, because I keep hearing the word mercury, and these are the very scary chemicals. How does a government allow anyone to use these poisonous elements in mining?
You see, there are laws. But you can have laws. If you don't enforce the laws are just decoration. So it's not a question of the absence of laws. It's a question of inability to enforce the laws. And my experience, where we have been, a lot of small-scale miners are operating without any supervision. Even those who supposedly have licenses go outside the parameters of their license and therefore are acting illegally. So our problem is lack of monitoring. That is why we are crying that you need to pause the small-scale mining. There's so many of them, and you're not able to monitor. In the meantime, we're all being poisoned.
So I want to introduce Kwaku here, who is a journalist. I think if you watch Joy TV, you definitely have seen this face. So having covered this topic extensively, how did it creep up on Ghana? Because it feels like you woke up one day and suddenly, oh, our water is under threat.
For journalists, we've been covering this for a very long time. And indeed, if you look at the archives at Joy News, for instance, we've done a series of stories. But people are now waking up to the reality, because they now see, they open their taps and the water coming in is completely not something they can use for anything meaningful. And so they are waking up to this reality. And that is why people are now hitting the streets and demanding action from government. Okay,
so we're hearing that it might take decades, if you're lucky, to clean the water. If that doesn't happen, what's going to happen to Ghana?
Well, just like you said, CSIR and other groups have done a lot of research.
Who are CSIR?
The Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. They've done a lot of research. Some of them have been saying that it could take up to 300 years to properly reclaim our lands and get our water bodies to the clean level that they used to be in the last few years. And so Ghanaians are getting to know that this is the time that something must happen.
Okay, I want to come back to James, because we keep hearing ban this practice, put it on pause, but that essentially means putting your livelihood on pause. How does that make you feel?
It is very, very bad. When you come to my consistency like this, more than 50% of the youth are into this mining, either by a foreman or a worker. So you could see, if you ban it right now, a whole lot of people are going to go out.
I wanted to speak to you, Mercy, because you're being affected, but in a very interesting way. As a triathlete, as an athlete, water is essential to your work. How are you feeling right now?
I feel bad because we are forced now to do all our training and events in the pool instead of doing open water. And due to this, just this ended African Games, we couldn't have an open water swim for triathlon. We had to do a pool because all our water testing goes in and it comes back as a bad review, so we can't do open water, which is very bad.
I want to hear from some of the people at the back. Anybody who is from a rural area that's really affected by this issue, please raise your hand. I want to hear from you.
When you come to Konongo, like where I'm from, people are being allowed to mine in these water bodies and then at riverbanks, which are affecting our lands. When farmers go on farming, they find it difficult to get water to water their crops. Even children who are from the rural, deep rural areas find it difficult in accessing waters in their everyday life.
You want to add something?
Well, I'm not from a rural area, but I have a friend that they are from that place. His dad is a farmer. Due to the chemicals in the water, it just dries the seeds. So he's running lost, and it's also increasing the debt on their family. So things are becoming difficult for them as well.
And you've talked about it being a social issue, and that's exactly what this documentary that you're about to see examines. Have a look. We'll be right back.
Meet baby eggs, preserved in formalin at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology for observation.
The baby had multiple limbs, including, I'm talking about upper and lower limbs. The eye was not well formed, fused together. He had no sexes, that is, there was no identifiable sex. Generally, I mean, in medicine we call it dysmorphic, where you could not see anything that makes the baby, I mean, if he had been even born, would have lived comfortably in life.
Professor Sampene traces the cause of the deformities to heavy concentrations of lead, mercury and cyanide found in the placenta. Baby X's preserved body is a grim presentation of an unseen danger lurking in the midst of communities affected by irresponsible mining and the selfish pollution of the Ghanaian environment for gold.
So you've all seen there the consequences of the heavy metals in the water here in Ghana, affecting not just this generation, but potentially the future one. Lois, I wonder what you think about this. You know, you're also working today.
Yes,
what do people think out there?
Well, I have with me my bystanders who were going to find out what do they think, how do they feel about this. Let me go to Joseph.
I think agencies or government or whoever is responsible is not seeing how urgent the situation is. Because me, for instance, when I buy water, when I buy a bottle of water, even as at now, I feel scared because I have doubts. What if there is mercury inside? So if a pregnant mother, a woman takes this water, would it affect her unborn child? Is it killing babies in the womb? I have a lot of questions. If they don't take action, if they don't make a move, we'll all be affected.
I like that you spoke about mothers taking in this water. This brings me to Nadiswa. As a mother, how does that make you feel?
I spoke to a gentleman called Erastus. He had been abducted by miners, galamsey miners. And I asked him, I said, Erastus, how can this end? And he said, Mommy, it won't end till the gold is finished in the soil. He said to me he had been to a village where the gold is finished and they have abandoned the village. And the people in the village are still being poisoned. Their waters are poisoned, their land is poisoned. Which mother's dream is it to give birth to a child? Or which grandmother's dream is it to see her grandchild with a leg or a foot on its back? Those people who are mining with the mercury and other heavy metals, every penny they earn will not heal them ever in this world. Never. Young men, ladies, don't have children. Until they clean your water, let the population go down. Let them feel your pain.
Well, you heard from Nadiswa. People have to do their jobs. All right, Esther, let me come to you as well.
A lot of people are writing petitions, but still, it is ongoing. Recently, I heard at Ebri, somewhere in Ebri, people are still mining, and unfortunately, all of them died there. So there have to be laws that the government has to implement to stop these things.
Joy News Research Desk shows that 2 million youth in this country are not working, unemployed. And I mean, if they were employed, I don't think they'll be doing these jobs. We have an activist amongst us. You have been on the grounds. We've protested. Youth have done everything we can. We're using our social media platforms to preach this message. It's not going through. What else should we, the youth, do?
I feel very disappointed, and I feel there is a need for Ghanaians, our campuses, to become spaces of fire and brainstorm to ensure that an end to this nonsense is done.
You heard him. We are not angry enough. We are not doing too much. Ghanaian youth have to rise, fight for what we believe is ours. Edith is on standby, and when we come back, we have more.
Thank you so much, Lois. And indeed, the people you've spoken to have made some incredible points. We're hearing the activists there talking about the waters leaving here. They know no borders. They go into other countries. Those same waters are feeding your cocoa farm. How are you managing to be a farmer at the moment?
Being a farmer in Ghana now has become a big issue because the kind of water we use for spraying is terrible. The area specifically where I'm coming from is Etiwa West. And then when you go to Etiwa West and Etiwa East, the main streams over there is brim. If you see the way it is nothing to write home about. Ghana is no more cocoa. but it is galamsey because all the lands has been destroyed.
But why are the farmers who know about the land, who live off of the land, giving their land away to miners?
A lot of people find it difficult to get farming inputs such as fertilizers to apply to their farms in order to get more produce. If someone comes and entices them that I want to give you this amount, they will be thinking that taking that amount of money will help them more than help cultivating the crops.
All right, Kwaku, I want to come to you for a second because I read that there are also farmers who are facing intimidation, that if they don't sell their land to miners, then something bad or sinister unfolds. True?
These illegal miners, some of them are very powerful. The persons that back them are influential, they are rich, and these persons themselves have a lot of guns, they have ammunition. And so when they go there, these farmers are left to battle out against these persons. Most of the time, the result is clear from the start. They are bound to lose.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Obin here. The government is very busy arresting activists. Are they also busy arresting the people who are harassing farmers? Are they also busy looking for the illegal miners?
Well, I don't think the government is busy trying to arrest the wrongdoers. When mining became, small-scale mining now became a wealth issue where the people involved are really big men, big people, including politicians. So it makes the fight difficult for government itself, because if you have your own people being alleged to have been involved in that and no action has been taken, you need to demonstrate commitment by taking action.
Okay, let me ask you, because you are seated in one of those big chairs that you're talking about. You are, in fact, one of those big men. You are. So is there corruption in the commission?
I can't say yes or no, but I wouldn't be surprised that there will be corruption.
But is the system corrupt?
Yes, the system is.
All right, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I just want to come back to you, James. When you hear that, how does it feel? And the miners, who owns them?
The miners are for the people.
The mines are for the people, but the concessions are given to someone, right? That license is issued to someone. Are they politicians usually?
Of course. They are everywhere. They are like pesticides. You can't take them out of this. Everyone is aware of this. Even if I say they are not part of it, everybody will laugh at me. Yeah. They will definitely know I'm lying, so I wouldn't lie here.
So let me ask the group then. Raise your hand if you believe that politicians are involved in galamsey. Oh, wow. I didn't even need to, I didn't need to finish asking the question. So you've raised both hands, and yet you are in a political party at the moment which seeks to address this issue. But how can the people who are causing the problem come up with a cure?
Of forests, which is a very important resource to us. There has been a law by this government that says, you can go and do mining in the forest without forest entry permit. This is unconscionable in my view. And the president says when he comes to power, the first thing he will do is to abrogate that law.
All right. Okay, because I do not want to give you an opportunity to campaign on behalf of your candidate. Allow me to speak to the economist here. The price of gold, as we mentioned earlier, has gone up. Has that influenced the number of people who are trading?
Everybody knows the price of gold. In fact, when the whole world crashed, gold prices were going up. And so gold has become a very, expensive, currency mineral that everybody wants to. But the issue is that should we looking at that from the perspective of the destruction it's bringing to the economy now and in the future, which one should we go for?
And actually, I'm curious, how much of the money that is gotten from the sale of this gold comes back into the economy? Is it worth it, is what I'm asking?
It is not, because we all knew that there were so many reports that talks about, a lot of gold going out of the country and less money coming in. Economically, it is a national issue that everybody needs to come on board for us to address, especially the politicians. Because if you have a working population that at a certain point contracts strange sicknesses and then they don't have the strength to be able to work, of course, then you are losing productivity. And when productivity is lost, your GDP will be impacted. And when GDP is impacted, revenue definitely will impact the economy.
Yeah, so let me hear from Kwaku. What are some of the medium-term effects that you're seeing coming from not just the illegal mining, but the poisoning of your waterways?
Well, we just saw that documentary that Erastus did. People are giving birth to children that are completely deformed. We have absolutely no idea why that is happening. And that is why people like Awula and activists are asking the government to revoke LI 2462 that allows mining in forests.
I'm sorry, LI 24 what?
LI 2462. That is an instrument the government has passed through Parliament, which is currently a law in force that allows the president to give permit for mining to be done in forest reserves, in protected reserves, and these forests are completely being obliterated. They are being destroyed. Organized labor this year, at the start of at the middle of this year, decided to shut down government and go on a strike. The government promised that they were going to revoke that LI. Parliament went to sit for several days. They did not bring that LI, and then there was a political stalemate in Parliament, and they had to go away. And so the effect is in such a way that it is multifaceted. Every person, one way or the other, is affected by this illegal mining menace, even in ways you do not feel it. And in cocoa, look at cocoa, for instance. Ghana used to be the top producer of cocoa in the world. We've lost that to Ivory Coast. And in fact, at some point, wanted to do 80,000 metric tons. We're struggling to do 500,000 because cocoa farmers are looking at the cocoa farming they are doing, and illegal miners coming in with a gun and saying that, listen, we're either giving you the money or we are showing you a gun. You are going to go anyway. And so government needs to know that, listen, this is an existential threat. This is an existential crisis. It goes beyond all the petty issues that they want to do. But ultimately, because as we have heard around the table, politicians themselves are the kingpins. They are the ones driving this business. The political will is not there, and that is why the effect is so huge. Everyone is struggling.
You spoke about cocoa, and here we have Isifu. Thank you for joining us. And when we spoke earlier, you said something dramatic to me, that you have a river on your farm, but you're not able to use it.
Yes. Today, if you want to access water, you have to buy water from the city, transport it with tricycle, and even the cost and the poor road network to connect this tricycle for you to get water in your farm is very difficult. That's why we are now producing less. If you look at the output level as we speak now, we should have been in our peak level, but the cocoa is already gone. We don't have cocoa beans in the farm, and it is unfortunate.
Okay, so what happens to the existing cocoa market if it is threatened by infiltration of mercury into your plants?
If this harmful substance are detected in our cocoa beans, then we are doomed forever, because these cocoa beans are going to be rejected in the international market, and people will not like to use these beans for chocolate. In the next 5-10 years, cocoa farmers are going to be in danger.
I want to hear from Lois. What are people thinking about some of the things that we've heard from our panelists here?
Yes, let me come to you. Now, you are going to be voting for the first time. What are you looking at?
It isn't government's responsibility alone. I think we can do this together, and together we can do something better about it.
Someone is calling me, beckoning me at the back there.
If we are to be truth and realistic, galamsey is not going to be stopped now. This basic solution can bring it down. And as time goes on, we can, I think, equally or at a point in time, it will be over.
So you heard from him. The change starts with us. Edith, over to you.
And I just want to come back to you, Mr. Wula, because when you look at the future, it doesn't look very secure right now for Ghanaians in terms of food security. We're hearing that production of cocoa has already gone down. How long will it take to reverse the effects of what we're seeing already?
The problem we have right now is that those who are supposed to be stopping galamsey are those who are actually supporting it. And let me make it clear that when you talk about mining, when we get, let's say, about 5 billion, only about 1.5 billion is used in the country. Yeah. We get far more from remittances. We get far more from non-traditional export, and of course from cocoa, but we are at risk of losing what we get from cocoa because the poison has entered the food chain. We know that some of our exports contain mercury, and we don't know what will happen with cocoa if we don't stop this canker today. We can stop it.
On top of being a triathlete, you're also an activist. And young people might be watching thinking, oh gosh, this is all sounding so overwhelming. What can I do as a young person to try and rectify this issue?
These young ones, when we have our Plant Ghana days or any day, maybe on your birthday, you decide, oh, I want to plant something, they can do sunflower, which is very good when it comes to extracting leads and heavy mercuries in our land, which would eventually help take out these heavy metals out of the land. And it wouldn't be just one day, but as time goes on, it's going to help.
I'd like to speak to Isifu here. As a farmer, you're obviously affected. Your livelihood is on the line, as we've spoken about. What do you think needs to change?
We can talk, we can sing, we can fight, we can kill ourselves, we can say whatever we want to say in the world, but we need the president to act. So the president should speak, he should act, and he should work.
The people who are watching, who are investors, who are interested in perhaps environmental management, what can they do? How can they tap into the solutions?
So I think that if you're an investor, you want to come in, you want to secure your investment, then the right thing is to go through the right process so that your investment will be secure.
How do we make sure that the generation who are having children right now, their children are not having a similar street debate 10, 20 years from now talking about galamsey?
When you destroy a forest, you have destroyed a pharmacy. When you look at the trees, look at the neem tree, or even look at the moringa, it's not just the seeds, it's not that the bark, it's not just the leaves. There's so much for everybody. So what we are doing right now, apart from poisoning the environment, poisoning our water bodies, we are destroying our pharmacies.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, and thank you to everyone. I'd like to invite Joy here because she's also a Ghanaian. And as we wrap up, I just want to know from you, what are your thoughts and opinions about this issue, being that you're living it? It's your reality.
Exactly. So I like the fact that everyone here, especially the youth, I'm very passionate about the youth and how they feel about this. I'm just happy that they have heard, they're ready to fight. And I'm just asking every youth out there, do not give up on Ghana yet. Also, we're heading to the polls. I'm asking that the first-time voters out there will participate in the elections because you have a voice, and it will shock you that when you vote, you can effect change in the best way.
So we started with a statistic. I'd like to leave you with one, that the analysts are saying that at the moment, the amount of land that's been degraded in this country is equal to the Vatican City, Gibraltar and Monaco combined. That's how much land you've lost to environmental degradation. But as we've heard from everybody here today, it is possible to reverse that. So thank you all for watching.
Yes.
Thank you for being such a wonderful host to us here. And we say to our people, bye-bye.